Good morning and welcome to Elmer Full Gospel Church. My name is Nyasha Kambasha and I'll be sharing with you today. My message and title to my message today will be My Deuteronomy. And for many of you have already guessed that this is probably centered on the book of Deuteronomy. Yes, it's centered on the book of Deuteronomy, and I will read from chapter 4, verses 1 to 6. I will read. And now, Israel, listen carefully to these decrees and regulations that I am about to teach you. Obey them so that you may live, so you may enter and occupy the land that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, is giving you. Do not add to or subtract from these commandments I am giving you. Just obey the commands of the Lord and God that I am giving you. You saw for yourself what the Lord did to you all at Baal-peor. There the Lord your God destroyed everyone who had worshipped Baal, the god of Peor. But all of you who were faithful to the Lord your God are still alive today, every one of you. Look, I now teach you these decrees and regulations, just as the Lord my God commanded me, so that you may obey them in the land you are about to enter and occupy. Obey them completely, and you will display your wisdom and intelligence among the surrounding nations. When they hear all these decrees, they will exclaim, "How wise and prudent are the people of this great nation." May the Lord bless the reading of his words. Yes, today I'm going to talk about Deuteronomy. Like, what is really Deuteronomy to you? What is Deuteronomy to me? What do I understand when I hear the word Deuteronomy? What do you understand when you hear the word Deuteronomy? I'm sure for many of us, when we think about Deuteronomy, the first thing that comes to mind is the set of instructions. Maybe that's probably the person that has already read the Bible so much and knows the Bible. But for some of us, we know that Deuteronomy comes after Numbers, probably meaning that it's after Exodus. So yes, maybe Deuteronomy is part of that whole transition of the Israelites from Egypt to the promised land. And yes, for some of us that know a little bit more, we have come to understand that this was the dawn, the new era when the Lord is now practically handing over Canaan to his children. And we're probably all right. But what really jumps out at me in this time is what it might have meant to those that were there during that time. It is hard to ignore that Deuteronomy comes with a set of instructions, set of decrees. I'm sure if you're reading Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 4, when Moses is actually reminding the children of Israel what happened to them when they did not obey the Lord. Now it's almost like the Lord is saying, I will give you the promised land if only you obey me. It's almost like he has a requirement of what his children are supposed to do so that they can inherit the land. It's almost like they have to buy this land from the Lord with their loyalty. Being that as it may be, that is really far from the truth. Yes, the Lord is asking Israel to obey. And yes, the Lord is giving instructions. I know many of us don't like instructions, especially men. When we get that toy, when we buy this and we have the set of instructions on how to assemble it, how many of us really actually want to read this? Sometimes it looks like it's 5 pages to install something that only has 3 pieces. But yes, sometimes we really have to go through the instructions because there's a reason why they're there. And in this particular instance, I will try to explore exactly why I think the Lord was giving the instructions to Israel. and why he made these decrees, why he was so sure that they will need these instructions. First of all, it is very important for us to understand that God has one aspect in this situation that we're going to focus a little bit more on. He is Alpha and Omega, which means that he is the beginning and the end. He can actually see the beginning, and he knows the today, and he knows the end, which means that everything that is in between he knows about. Now, I don't know about you. Well, I'll tell you something that has just happened to me recently. I've recently taken a new job, and I am a truck driver. So I find myself these days going to new places that I've never been before. And for the most part, I find it easy for me to call another driver who has been there. And usually he will give me a set of instructions on how to get there, which routes not to take, because these routes might not accommodate a big truck like the one I drive. Weight restrictions along the line, and all the other nice stuff that I need to know before I get there, because already somebody has already been there. Why should I make the mistake that they have already made? Now, in this case, Jehovah knew who Israel was. Jehovah already knows what kind of mistakes Israel might make. Jehovah already knows what awaits them in the new land that they're going to get into. Above all, Jehovah knows what makes Israel unique to this particular situation. You know, Israel is about to inherit a land. He's about to inherit the promises from their fathers, not because Israel is so smart. What makes Israel unique is the aspect that Jehovah sees what is ahead. What makes Israel so unique is that they have somebody who's been there, somebody who's actually the architect to this world that they're going to live in. Yes, Israel probably had a lot of experience in how to run a country, because they'd gone through so many kingdoms during their time in the wilderness. They fought so many kings. If it's geography, they know so many geographical land that they practically must be experts by now. But are they actually previewed to what the Lord wants to do? To what God is going to do tomorrow? Not if they don't listen to the instructions. So when we go through Deuteronomy, it's almost like God does not give freedom to his children. He is so controlling. How can it be such a gift when you're being told how to play with it? Why would I want something that I have got no control over? It's almost like God is saying, I'm still going to keep control of everything. But yet that actually isn't the case. Not at all. The Lord is saying, I've given you this is yours. In fact, even in your times in the wilderness, it was that you were not ready for what I was about to give you, but I'd already given it to you. At one time, you even turned around and did not want to take over the land because you did not trust in me. But God is saying, trust in me and walk into the land that I've promised your forefathers. Not even you, for my covenant was not with you, it was with your forefathers. So now we're about to make a new covenant. At some point, you even find out that Deuteronomy is called the second law. Why? Because the people that are there in the present day Israel, they had not made this covenant with God back then. Even though they're going to inherit what the Lord is giving to them, they do not know where this came from. So let's strip it down. Let's get to the nitty-gritties, and I will hand it over to you. You commit to me as I'm committing to you, because we're now going to walk through this journey that I am going to be ahead of. And the Lord is saying, I'm giving it to you. Today I'm thinking of so many other things. How many promises do we have? What has the Lord promised us? Do we even know what the Lord has promised us? Do we trust Him enough to know that He's promising us this? Or we are all still holding on to our own understanding that we don't even see what the Lord is promising us? And when we know what the Lord has promised us, do we trust Him enough to just say, I am going to follow you, Lord. You're going to lead and I'm going to follow? Do we like to abide in the instructions and decrees that the Lord has put upon our lives in our day-to-day lives? Do we even give ourselves enough time to just sit and ask what the Lord wants? At least Israel knew what the Lord had promised them. Do I know what the Lord has promised me? Have I ever asked what the Lord has promised me? And if I knew, would I know if I'm still in the wilderness, or when I get to the point where I say, this is Deuteronomy for me, this is my Deuteronomy, would I know? Later on, would I even want to listen to the instructions that are coming with it? Because when you look in this Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 3, it gives the reason why you should listen, so that you may live. Let's back off for a second. The reason why Israelites didn't even think they could get into this land was because it was inhabited by bigger men, a more dangerous opponent than they thought of themselves to be. Even for you and me today, our adversaries in this world, without the Lord, they're stronger than us. They're stronger than me. They're stronger than you. What keeps you awake at night looks like a mountain, and probably it is. But who surrounds you? Who says we will take the land? And what is His instruction when He says, when I give you this instruction, I'm giving you this instruction so that you may live? Because He understands where you're going. Yes, you might see what it looks like. He knows what it looks like. He sees what it is. He made it. So if it is the giants that inhabit the promised land, the Lord knows about them. The challenges ahead of you in that field that the Lord has promised me, He knows about them. And He says, listen to my instructions so I may prosper you in whatever that I have promised you. Because it is His promise to me. It is not a deal upon which I have to collect after worshiping Him. It is through grace that He's promised me, He's promised you whatever He's promised you. It's not because you're so smart. It's not because I'm so smart. In fact, the only thing that makes me unique, just like the children of Israel, is that He loves me and He loves you. So when we stand in that love and understand that it's because of this love, and because that we are loved by somebody who sees the beginning, the present, and the end, as He is Alpha and Omega, and we trust Him, we know why He will be telling us what He tells us. In fact, we go to seek for His instruction and not lean on our own understanding. We will not even wait for Him to give us the instruction. We will go and look for it. This is the beauty of knowing who God is. We will understand when it is Deuteronomy for us. Because at that time, we'll know that we are ready. We're no longer in this circling place where we're going from place to place in the wilderness, but we've come to the place where the Lord is saying, I am giving it to you. In fact, the people that have studied the Bible will tell you that while the journey in Exodus took years and years, Deuteronomy only took days. Why? Because the Lord is saying, now I'm giving it to you. There's something that gets expedited when the Lord gets to that point where he thinks you and me are ready to receive what he has promised us. And when we get there and we're ready to take on the instruction and ask him how he wants us to live in what he has promised us, in what he has sent us to do, in the purposes of our lives, it goes so fast. In fact, there might not be a lot to say, but to understand, what is your promise? How long have you been waiting for your promise? And when you are there, do you want to ask the Lord? Do you want to find out from God himself how he wants you to live in the promises of your life, the promises of my life? Even in this time that we live in that is so confusing, where we don't know what is happening, filled with so much controversy and so much conspiracy. Have I ever asked the Lord, even if this is the time when he can say, this is your time, this is what I have ordained you for? And if it is, what are the instructions? What do you want me to do? Because I trust in you, Lord. It is my message today that my Deuteronomy, my special time before I get into my promise, my last preparation before it starts, my time of rejoicing because all that I've been waiting for is here. And now that it's here, how do I handle it? Because it's now in this moment where I am going to be successful or fail. Because all that time, I hadn't got to that point where I'm getting to my promise. Be it a blessing, be it a purpose. Even if it might be a career, even if it is something that I was praying for, or something that you were praying for, something that you fasted for years. When do you say, this is my Deuteronomy? When are you going to be ready for the Lord to hand it over to you? Because he's always been there trying to hand it over to you. He's always been there trying to hand it over to me. But I'm sure there's so many times I have not felt adequate enough. There's so many times that I've disqualified myself and not understood that it's by grace that I am ready for this. There's so many times that you walk away from your destiny because you don't think that it's what you deserve. There's sometimes that we try to wake ourselves up from the dreams that the Lord has placed in us, because we think those dreams are inhabited by giants that will look at us like locusts or small insects. But the Joshua in me, the Joshua in you, and the Caleb in you says, we will take that land, we will take that dream, we will walk upon the waters. Why? Because it's not me that lives, it's Christ that lives in me. It's not you that lives, but it's Christ that lives in you. So when you call over and say, this is my Deuteronomy, Lord, send that set of instructions, and I will set those decrees. You will know that time. And God has never withheld anything from us. He will give it to us. So let's stand today and let us not let our own Deuteronomy pass us, but let's grab hold of our Deuteronomy and ask the Lord and say, what is your instruction today for me? What are the decrees that you teach me? I am waiting because I know I'm ready. Because He makes me ready. He makes you ready. The only preparation I need is to accept Him and to know that He is enough. And all He requires from me is to have my listening ears in my heart to listen to Him. That He may start to pour out His instruction, His decrees into my heart. For this is my Deuteronomy. I have walked through the wilderness. I have fought countless battles. I have won many of them. Yes, sometimes we fight all these battles and we see the Lord's hand in the battles, but that's not the destination. We've defeated kings along the way. We've defeated things along the way, but those are not our destination. The promised land is where we're heading. The victory along the way is just a promise to say that the Lord will fight for us when we get there. The miracles in your life, the Lord is showing you His strength, that He will stand with you, that you should not be afraid of the dream that He has placed upon your heart. In fact, just open up your eyes to that dream and say, this is my Deuteronomy. Lord, send the set of instruction. I will hold on to those decrees. And I will walk in your path. And I will fully trust in you because you are Alpha and Omega. You've seen everything that's in between. I will not stumble and fall because where I should fall, you've already told me about it in those instructions. But in all, I am a victor. And victory is on my side because I stand in your name. This is my Deuteronomy. Thank you for watching. I don't have a lot to say today, but I say, look into your life and say, this is my Deuteronomy. Let Him make you adequate. Let Him say that you're ready because you're ready. May you be blessed today and walk in the promises that He has for you. And remember, He is faithful. Just as He has been faithful to Israel to honor the promise that He gave to the forefathers of Israel. Yes, He's faithful to you as well. And you are faithful to Him. Only that sometimes we don't trust Him enough. But let this be a call to trust the Lord. And let us love the instruction that comes with it. Let us rejoice in the freedom that surrounds it. And know that the instruction is for our own benefit. So that, like it says in verse 6, that when the nations look at Israel, they'll say, those are very wise people. Just you and me. When the world looks at us as we follow the Lord's instructions, they will see how wise we are because we have insight to what's happening tomorrow. It's almost like you have a cheat sheet to what to invest on. In Jesus' name, be blessed. Amen.